One of the hardest things for people is to actually go to sleep sometimes.
Anxiety, or they're thinking about work or business or the day.
So what are you actually getting
tomorrow?
So what are you actually ideally getting from the tea in that respect?
Yeah, what it's doing, it's calming you down. It's calming your CNS. It's lowering your cortisol in the meantime. It actually is making you a little bit groggy. Mm-hmm. There's nights I drink it, man. I can't keep my eyes open after 20 minutes. Like right. I'm out. And the good thing with that is, you can take a lot of drugs, trazodone, Ambien, that'll knock you out right away too. But what you're going to see, and this is where I kind of became a student of sleep, and it's as simple as an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring, because they are highly accurate. Like you can see how much REM you got, how much deep sleep, and you're going to see, and I personally did, a marked improvement in your quality of sleep versus if you took medications. And you can track that over time. Let's not track it every night, but over time, in addition to the other small steps you need to take, making your room a cave, eating dinner 3 hours prior to laying down. I'm a huge fan of sauna. Like, okay, I'm not going to go out and buy a $70,000 truck because I don't care what people think about me when I drive. I'm going to spend my money on longevity and feeling better these days. And you can appreciate that. Yep. So I went out last year. I spent the money on a nice sauna that me and my wife do every night right before bed. And I got a cold plunge. So that's what I do in my evenings. And I firmly believe that, whether it's a cold plunge or just taking a cold shower right before bed.
Yep. That's a simple solution.
3 to 5 minutes, start off small, make it warm, and just continue to get uncomfortable.
Dial it down.
Because what that does is it shocks your body. It lowers your cortisol right before bed. It reduces your body temperature. We already know, it's proven, your core temperature has to be lower to get into that deep sleep. That's why we drop our room temperature down like a cave, 69 degrees or so. You want to be cold. And if you got problems with circulation in your feet, put some socks on. Your body needs to be cold to sleep well. We know this.
Yeah. So you're stacking things on here, and people again they may be taking little bits and pieces away. But
and I hope they do.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make, which is like, again, the review of like your tea doesn't work. There's a lot of things. It's the tea doesn't lower your. So I just want to be clear about this. So stick with me here. The tea doesn't directly lower your cortisol level. The tea starts to help your body start to trigger things that will relax, that then lowers that cortisol level, right? That's the goal. Like it's not like I put this in and then I go take a blood test to see if if that's the study or the research you're looking for, does valerian lower your cortisol level? That's not what you're going to find. What it talks about is the calming effects, right? It's the same thing like the passion flower, right? The calming effects that it will have in terms of helping you downregulate, which is the start of the process to then get to sleep, to then where you can get into the deeper sleep.
And it does, right? it does help clear that anxiety and those racing thoughts.
Oh, trust me, man. Oftentimes I can lay in bed at night, like, fucking, how am I making payroll next week? Right, could be one of those things. I went through that stuff where you're staring at the ceiling going, oh my God. Right. And like that will, in some cases, no tea is going to fix that, bro. Like
I still have those nights.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it's about getting yourself into a place where the process begins, right? And you mentioned it before. The process actually begins in the morning, right? Yeah. At the beginning of it, there's a lot of things. And what are you doing to mitigate the anxiety throughout the day? The caffeine intake, right? The working out, the fitness, and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So we got daytime, nighttime formula on the tea side of things. And I know you guys were doing like the actual leaf and then the actual,
so I brought bags. You one of each here. So I prefer loose leaf myself because I got a cup top strainer and I can make it as strong as I want. And I always I let it sit for a good 8-10 minutes to make it really strong. Mm-hmm. But I travel a lot. Yeah. I fly almost every week. Yeah. I can't take all that shit with me. Right. So I told my partner, I said, we need some individual sachets that I can travel with. And other people were asking for the same thing. So yeah, we got loose leaf and we have individual serving that you can easily throw in your backpack and go.
Yeah, so it can go anywhere. All right, and they're light. They don't take up a lot of
Yeah.
space. Again, so all your excuses about how I can't do that.
No more excuses.
No more excuses. All right, so you solved for that problem.
Yeah.
All right, talk about the Battle Buddies, because this is an interesting product for me. I've seen people come out with something with things like in capsule form and some other stuff, but this is actually a chewable, which is interesting. And yeah, so talk about that and kind of where that fits into the lineup here.
Yeah. So first thing I'll talk about is you'll see there's a nice little inscription of the Roman handshake on there.
Mm-hmm.
That was important to me because we called it Battle Buddies, which has a lot of meaning behind it. You know, if you were ever in the military, like from day one in basic training, they say, hey, they assign you a battle buddy. Well, after you retire, we use that connotation of check in on your buddies, right? Every Wednesday, you know, it's a thing in the community. Like you're thinking about somebody, and I love to do this, man, because I've had too many friends commit suicide. Like I lost a lot of friends in combat on the battlefield, and I respect that, and that's what we were there for. And they went down in glory, right? However, I have a problem with the higher number of friends I've lost in the war after and civilian world that have just taken their own life. So, that's kind of what that means to me is check on your buddies, give a helping hand when you need to. Again, back to, that's why we started this, was to get these good products that work for me out to my friends. And on that note, you know, we do give a portion of the proceeds back to nonprofits to help with veterans treatments. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I make a dime off of this. We're at it a year now and I haven't made a dime. We keep dumping it back into the company just to keep it going because it's growing very rapidly. But my goal was never to turn this. It's always been a side project for me of helping my buddies out. Back to the tablets. As I mentioned, I've done a lot of plant medicine work and really working on myself. And that's where this went. After my first plant medicine trip, like 7 years ago, I dove into microdosing and had a hard time sourcing it, honestly. And I was paying good money for crap.
You should come here to the Silicon Valley because these tech guys up here, they love that shit.
Yeah.
They're getting it. It's everywhere here. Like the microdosing that happens at these big tech companies. I was saying, like Meta, Google.
Oh yeah. Well, it started here.
I know it did. Yeah.
I mean, I
don't think people really get that.
Yeah. How to Change Your Mind, Michael Pollan is a great book. And he talks a lot about, from the 50s through before even the 60s hippie psychedelic boom. It was happening here in Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And then a guy named Al Hubbard was very tied in with a bunch of the CEOs. Mm-hmm. And, you can link this back to Tim Cook and all the Apple guys and all the Microsoft guys. They were young guys back when this revolution was happening and they were all dosing
in the garage where they were putting those companies
LSD
together.
and psilocybin.